If this show were a video game console, I just hit the reset button. I sure hope I remembered to save my progress first. Greetings, citizens! I'm Jeff, and this is Nindie Nation episode 164. The eShop is very busy this week, dropping more than 30 independently developed games between October 31st and November 6th, and we're here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, mark your calendars for this Thursday's Nindies at Night stream, and let's get this show on the road. These are the 10 notable new releases hitting the Nintendo Switch through Sunday, November 6th. Boy, I was just about to shut down this format, but then I looked up the new releases, and there ain't no way I can bail on the surprise remaster of one of my favorite games from the PS3. Shatter Remastered, my friends, is an absolute masterpiece. Seriously, this is one of the few times that I say I don't care who you are or what you like, I'm willing to bet you can find something to love in one of the first games that I ever 100%ed. This game is the Originally developed and released by City Interactive in 2009, the studio was renamed and is now known as Pickpock, who released Agent Intercept earlier this year, another game we had a ton of fun with on Nindies at Night. Shatter is... This is super reductive, but it's breakout in the same way that Grand Theft Auto V is a map simulator. Each level is wildly unique, with all kinds of crazy neon visuals, particle effects, and absolutely amazing music. You don't just move side to side either, you kinda pin yourself to parts of the playing field and move all around within that area to bounce the balls and break the, bricks. The biggest difference here is that you have a mechanic that, well, okay, be mature about this, Jeff. You can do this. Come on, straight face, game time! The big mechanic here is that you can suck. The biggest mechanic here is that you can suck and blow. And oh my god, it looks so good in this remaster. I don't know that a game's released in 2022 that I've been more excited about. And it comes out on Wednesday, November 2nd for the ridiculously great price of $9.99. And yes, we'll be playing it on Nindies at Night. We also see the release of a game that is dead set on killing you with cuteness when Lonesome Village releases by Ogre Pixel for $19.99. It's not the cute fox that you play as, nor is it the puzzle-filled world that blends cozy life sim elements that's what's bringing me in here. If you're watching, you can already tell it's this simple, gorgeous art style that's immediately grabbing my attention. It's like a cartoon with really bold outlines, and it just looks so good that I'm honestly skeptical if we're seeing Switch gameplay here or not. A calamity has rocked a village, and you have to do all of the Animal Crossing stuff to get it back up and running. And then the puzzle elements happen in dungeons where you thwart evil from coming back. It's an interesting approach that tries to add a bit more quote-unquote gameplay into the typical cozy framework, and I think if you like all the buzzwords I'm tossing around, Lonesome Village should probably go on your wish list. And we've got a few games of note during the Big Thursday drop on November 3rd, starting with the latest by Atui, beloved indie darlings responsible for games like Zeo Drifters, Mutant Mudds, and Chicken Wiggle. Runbox Run brings all the Atui weirdness and charm to the table as it... Okay, bear with me here. It seems to blend WarioWare, Runbow, and Jackbox Trivia all into one $5 game that is clearly built for streaming or rambunctious evenings gaming on the couch with friends. It looks like Rumbow with the bold colors on black backgrounds, but instead of running in a race, you're maneuvering out of obstacles, kind of in a very short burst 2D platforming escape game, if you will. Then in between the various screens, you'll be thrown into randomized trivia questions, and I'd be lying if I said this doesn't look like a ton of fun. It's only $5, so I might give it a try regardless, but I'll tell you what, I'll do some more research and shoot a note over to the gang at Atui, and maybe we can get some codes so a few of us can play during Nindies at Night. Hey, who's down for another promising Metroidvania? Funny enough, after featuring the Mummy Demastered in the latest eShop Deals video, I mentioned how it fills a unique style niche in the genre. And wouldn't you know it, Ghost Song seems to fall in a similar category. Developed by a one-man team going by One Moon Studio, this game has a super cool vibe that features a classic sci-fi aesthetic filled with lush, colorful alien environments. You wake up as some biomechanical thing and start exploring an overworld with all kinds of environments, little towns, and tons of cool places lurking underneath the surface. Like the Mummy Demastered, Ghost Song puts a lot of emphasis on gunplay and platforming, but it seems to feature more character progression with leveling that lets you customize how you grow a bit, which always scores points with me. Throw in a cast of characters and an intriguing plot filled with mystery, and for $19.99, this just might be the next great Metroidvania of 2022. Man, if you think we're eating good in this genre now, just wait until towards the end of this episode. If you look up the reviews on Metacritic for Master Spy, specifically those giving it a 90 or higher, it's so funny because every single one starts with some form of
Master Spy isn't for everyone, but...
just in case that gives you an idea of the kind of game we're looking at here. And what we're looking at is a precision puzzle platformer geared towards those who enjoy games like Super Meat Boy, but with a tiny bit of stealth elements, mostly in the form of staying out of enemies' vision cones. It's $10 and released on PC way back in 2015, where it saw a mixed reception, with its fans loving it and detractors saying it's just too hard. It's very cyberpunky with rotoscoped style pixel art that gives the game a cool cinematic flair. It's developed by
Turbo Gun!
And for $9.99, looks to be a solid choice. You know.
If you're into this kind of game.
Next up, as listed in its description,
Pilgrims is a playful adventure game created by the team behind Machinarium and Summer Roast.
So if you've played either of those stylish adventure games, you can expect more of that
scan the screen and see what interacts with what
fare that we're used to from Amanita Design. It employs a medieval fantasy aesthetic, looks to be chock full of slapstick physical comedy, and releases for the low price of $4.99. You ever see a game and just assume it started out as a joke that somehow spiraled out of control? That's how I feel about Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. It released on iOS in 2016, but when Landfall Games ported it to PC in 2019, that's when streamers caught wind and it reached critical mass. There is a solo campaign, and in that campaign you amass an army of units before clicking play and watch the chaos ensue. But as far as I'm concerned, this game is more of a toy than anything else. Tabs basically gives you scenarios where you pick characters from every type of background and era you can imagine, set them up on a field, and just watch hilarity ensue. Most people will probably find fun in the sandbox, or campaign and character creator, where they can orchestrate scenarios to watch how silly everything will play out. Personally, I had about an hour of fun with this game, but have found it to be most enjoyable when watching others stream it. For that reason, if you want to dive in, I'd suggest watching a stream or two first so you can get a feel for how it all works. If you do decide you want to open this toy box of nonsense and see what kind of pandemonium you can concoct, Tabs releases on Thursday the 3rd with a discount for $17.99. Back in the 1950s and 60s, humans thought it'd be cool to explore space, but figured sending a few dogs up first would be a better test run. Of course, we all know that most, if not all, of those poor doggos never made it back home. However, Long-Term Games and Enjoy Studio pondered what would happen if one of those good boys did make it to space, and that's the general idea behind Space Tale: Every Journey Leads Home, which comes published by Red Deer Games for $19.99. So far, this looks like a really unique adventure. Playing as a dog, you explore space by traveling through multiple planets, meeting interesting characters, and solving a lot of logic puzzles. I can't tell if there's any combat, so to speak, as it seems most of the action takes place via platforming, puzzle solving, and perhaps a few chase scenes as you try to find your way home. Anyone plan to check this one out? I gotta admit, I'm quite intrigued by this one. And then if, for some reason, you're thinking that Ghost Song isn't for you, but you're still really itching for a non-linear action-adventure, Eterna Game Studios has just the game for you. And you know what? It's finding games like Eterna Noctis that make running Nindie Nation such a treat, because this game looks awesome. Set against the backdrop of a cyclical battle between darkness and light, your goal is to restore your lost abilities, which, for a Metroidvania, is delightfully on the nose. The environments look amazing too, with a mix of 2.5D backgrounds that, at times, create as much depth as Metroid Dread, and characters that are hand-drawn with an intricate level of detail, resulting in a detailed world filled with 16 diverse environments to explore. RPG systems are on full display here, with skill trees, currency, experience, and a gem system that harkens back to Final Fantasy VII's materia, all of which bolster a robust skill tree. And citizens, you know I love me a good skill tree. The hack-and-slash combat looks fast and fluid, but it's the platforming that seems to be given the most attention. Some of these challenges can easily rival the hardest segments in Hollow Knight and Ori for sure, with air dashes, teleports, wall jumping, and all of that kind of stuff. The game released last December on PC and PS5, where it received completely polar opposite reviews, but there is a silver lining for us Switch players. The negative reviews claim that the game doesn't do anything new, but does it all well until difficulty spikes or unpolished platforming create a roadblock to progression. The positive reviews basically say this game is everything you love about Hollow Knight and praise the high difficulty. The silver lining I mentioned, though, is that the game has received over a dozen patches since last year's release. And skimming through the patch notes, I see a more accessible difficulty option, tons of balancing, and a major focus on tightening up the platforming sections based on almost a year of gathering player feedback. If you can't tell, I'm really optimistic about this game, but I'm also quite intimidated as it appears to have 50+ hours of gameplay packed in. I guess that makes the $30 price tag much easier to stomach though, so I'll be watching Switch reviews like a hawk, because Eterna Noctis just might be the big Metroidvania I play as we wrap up 2022. What do all of you think? And we'll wrap up with one more game this week, but I'm not quite sure what to make of this one. Amazing Chicken Adventures is a $20 3D platformer by solo developer Piotr Rokala. It brings a feeling of always moving around a huge sphere, kinda like Super Mario Galaxy, with levels that build as you progress, kinda like Bastion. It employs an Eastern European, dreamlike aesthetic with colors that make it feel like springtime, which is refreshing as we head into the winter months. Its quirky tone is emphasized by the use of public domain classical music, and while I'm generally intrigued by this one, we've yet to see anything else from Piotr, and a lot rides on how it feels to play. So I'd say wait and see how it reviews if you're interested. So how we feeling, friends? Jumping into a Metroidvania like Ghost Song or Eterna Noctis? Getting into some cheap, silly multiplayer fun in Runbox Run? Maybe you want to try a nice, cozy trip to Lonesome Village, or you're like me and are just foaming at the mouth waiting to get your hands on Shatter Remastered. Let me know down in the comments, and please, give me your feedback on this new, shorter format focusing on just the Nindies with the most potential. You can also follow Nindie Nation on Twitter, and everyone is welcome to join us over on Discord. Keep an eye out for Nindies at Night coming this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, where the current plan is to play Shatter and Ghost Song, and maybe even hand out a few games while we're at it. Thanks so much for watching this week, citizens. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share Nindie Nation with others to help us grow. Until next week, I'm Jeff. This has been the new Nindie Nation episode 164. And remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.